How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Today I want to have a little bit of an experiment. I want to install some video games on some USB drives. That's right. I'm not saying I want to download onto a USB drive. I'm saying I want to play a video game that is installed on a USB drive. And in this case, installed in a microSD card. That's right. I'm going to slap a U3 microSD card in there. Yeah, I'm going to slam a U3 card in this sucker. And we'll see if we can actually get some video games on it. So how this video came to be is I accidentally installed Fortnite on this M.2 USB external drive, and man, it didn't play too badly. I did that on the Optiflex 9020, so I want to try it again on one of these units. And then after I'm done that, I'm going to go down the line, starting at the M.2, the USB 3.1, the U3 micro SD card, and then a standard Kingston Data Traveler G2, you know, that kind of fun stuff, right? So anyways, I finally got Fortnite installed on the M.2 drive again. I couldn't just back it up, I had to reinstall it all over again. So now let's get this thing on a tripod and see how it looks.
So for this test, we're going to be using my Lenovo M92P. I got it upgraded to 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's got an i7 3rd generation 3770. That's about $150 GPU. Of course, you don't need too much to be able to play the games that I'm going to be looking at. So here's a look at the benchmark results that we got originally with this unit. That was after I threw in a 1030 video card. It's the only video card you can find on the market these days, I find. Anyways, with this, you can definitely rock out about 30 frames per second on almost any game you play. My buddy Daryl says that 1030 means 30 frames per second any game you play. So yeah, let's slam it in and let's check it out. Even Grand Theft Auto plays at 30 frames per second on this sucker.
So, will this M2 card be able to play Fortnite steadily? Only one way to find out.
Starting out here, we definitely got a solid 30 frames per second. It's not bad at all. It feels just like it would have felt if I had it on the internal drive, which is freaking impressive. I'm kind of blown away by the fact I can do this externally without being able to tell the difference. It's pretty cool. I'm not having any jitters, I'm not having any lag, any elastic banding, not having any luck shooting this guy also. I should say that this thing definitely plays better than it plays on the Xbox One. Once again, really smooth. Look at that transition. No problems at all there. So here's Grand Theft Auto 5 being played on the M.2 USB external drive, and it's playing just fine. I'm getting 30 frames per second. I don't even tell the difference between playing it on the hard drive and playing it on this unit. A quick little cruise through town should test if we get any frame drops, any lag, because of course we need to create things. We need to create the horizon, new units, new sprites, all that fun stuff, and I'm not seeing any frame drops. It seriously looks just as good as it would as if I played this off of my internal 1TB HDD, and man, that is just, it's just really surprising. I didn't know that I could get this level of graphics out of an external unit. Geez, a lot's been going on in the last few years when it comes to external hard drive power and capacity. Next up, we're going to be testing out a SanDisk 256GB Ultrafit USB 3.1 drive. I can usually get about 40 to 60 megabytes download or transfer speed on my test unit, and let's see how good Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite looks on this beast.
Okay, so here is the SanDisk USB 3.1. I get a maximum transfer speed of about 60 megabytes a second on this, and I'm running at 30 frames per second. It is still playing better than it would on my Xbox One. It's fluent. I'm not getting any issues. I'm not getting frame drops. Of course, it is 30 frames per second, but man, I'm just blown away that this plays so frickin' good on a USB 3.1 drive. USB 3.1! Anyways, so the last USB card... Anyways, the last USB card that I was using, the M.2 drive, has about 350 megabytes transfer speed on my test files anyways.
So next up, let's try out some Fortnite on this USB. So I put in a solid 4 or 5 rounds on Fortnite, and I gotta say, the only time I ever really noticed anything, for the most part, was on the first round. I got some lag, I got some jitter. This is on fast forward here. The first round, I didn't manage to get it on camera though, but as you can see, it plays pretty smoothly as 30 frames per second can play. Now all of the console plebes, they won't have any problem with this. This plays about as good as consoles play, but I gotta say, if I'm being honest with myself, I can kind of feel just a slight bit of lag playing this from USB 3.1, but still unbelievably impressive that I can pull off a game with a USB 3.1 and have this level of integrity, this level of speed. I don't really notice that many frames being lost, but there definitely does seem to be something holding me back just a bit, but I could get used to it, and it still feels better than it did on the Xbox. Even when trying to find high speeds, I never really run into too much problems. I mean, once again, no lagging, no elastic banding, no messing up really, but man, I'm not used to this game on the PC. So also, no talent, but I digress. What's more is that, check this out, we can see these guys at long range and they're not lagging, they're not elastic banding, so I think we got the full tilt boogie here. We got a good game running on a USB 3.1 for all reasons. Next up, let's test out the speed of some video games on a SanDisk Extreme microSDXC memory card. Now, with this unit, I can generally transport about 20 megabytes a second, and you'll notice the A2 right next to the U3. That means it's better for Android apps. I wonder if that means it'll be better for video games on the PC. Only one way to find out. Alright, so I've been cruising around Grand Theft Auto 5. And I gotta say, I am not seeing any issues. I'm not having any lag. I'm not having any elastic banding. It kind of feels maybe like it's being held back just a little bit. That might just be in my head. It might just be because I'm doing this in the morning all of a sudden. But I'm getting, I was getting about 60 frames per second, almost there. So outside of town, I can definitely get almost 60 frames per second playing off this thing. When I come into town, it definitely drops down to 30 frames per second, and that might just be the memory pulling for all these new sprites, for all these new characters. But it doesn't play too bad for an SD card. Oh man, I wish I could get up that easily after a car crash. That'd be alright. That'd be alright. But still, playing off an SD card, a good SD card though, it plays just as good as it does on the 360, I gotta say. Thumbs up, folks. I'm just amazed. I'm floored by how good these games are playing off of memory cards. Next up, let's try out some Fortnite on this microSD U3A2 card. It still plays great. I'm definitely not even noticing much of a difference between Fortnite on the USB 3.1 and Fortnite on this SD card, this micro SD card. I'm not getting any lags, no frames dropping, no elastic banding, nothing like that. So this has got me thinking that after a certain point in loading, perhaps it's longer to load the game, but then after the game loads, more of it rests within the RAM or the swap file. But once again, this feels better than playing on the Xbox One at this point. At this point, I'm kind of wondering why more people don't know about this. It doesn't seem like it's common knowledge, but it seems as if gamers could alleviate the suffering of their hardware by switching over to something USB 3.1, something external M.2 card. Because, man, look at this. I'm not having any problems. I'm not having any frame rate issues. None of that. I really got to get a better video card to see if it helps with the frame rate, though. I bet I could do this at 60 frames per second if I could actually get my hands on a good enough video card.
And lastly, just for shits and giggles, let's try a SanDisk 2.0 USB drive. I'm pretty sure the transfer rates I get here are about 10 megabytes a second. So let's see if we can actually play some games with this, folks. Okay, wow, I'm getting 30 frames per second here still. I'm not sure if things look as nice as they did yesterday. One of the downsides of doing this stuff on older hardware like this USB 2.0 drive is that it takes a long time to get it installed. It just took so long to get it installed on this thing. I thought I'd get this done last night, but I definitely couldn't. So here we are, I'm getting 30 frames per second. I'm starting to think that all that happens when you install this game is the stuff gets plunked onto that memory unit and then is just dumped into the RAM when you start the game up. I got 16 gigs of RAM in this thing. And I didn't get lag, I didn't get frame rate drops. That's interesting. It did take a while to pull this game up. So in some situations, this must just stick in the hard drive or in the USB drive you use, and then get pulled into the RAM if you have enough, perhaps. Alright, so I made it to 24th place with about 7 kills on Fortnite on the PC from a USB 2.0 drive. There's a lot to be said about that because I suck at Fortnite on the PC.
So I tried to install Grand Theft Auto 5 on this thing, but the unit would not see the USB 2.0 drive as a hard drive, which is understandable. I mean, you can only do so much with this stuff, right? And that about brings this video to an end.
So, does it work? Yes. Would I recommend it? Not generally. Not entirely. I like what I've seen from the 3.0. I like what I've seen from the external M.2 card. That was just phenomenal. So, you can install it on external hard drives. You can install it on external USB cards, just as long as they're USB 3.1. That's interesting. We've come to an interesting point where external power is so powerful that we don't need to worry about keeping it internally. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me, Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Like and subscribe if you like this stuff. It's always appreciated, folks, and as always, take care of each other, will ya?